Today's conversation is a bit different. We often speak about wildlife, landscapes, and the natural world. But today, we are stepping into the world of people. Joining me is someone who has quietly but consistently built a body of work around human stories through travel, street, and pictorial photography. He also loves wildlife. He's also a part of the Toehold family, but more importantly, the author of a photo book on one of the most photographed yet deeply personal cities in the world, Kashi or Varanasi. Dipanjan, welcome to this podcast. We call this the ExplorerChat. So Dipanjan, welcome to Toehold and thank you for being a part of this beautiful conversation. We call this the ExplorerChat.
Pleasure. My pleasure, Jayant, as always. It's a pleasure chatting with you.
Thanks
for inviting me.
Yeah, you don't have to reach out to the mic. You can sit back and relax and speak because it's a very good gain. So I have been actually speaking to a lot of Toehold patrons, as we call them, explorers, as we call them, people who have traveled to different parts of the world with respect to at least wildlife photography. Today I'm making an attempt to speak to somebody who understands a different genre of photography that perhaps my father was more well versed with than I am, street, pictorial, and all of that. And I do know a lot of the West Bengal community or the Bengali community, as we call it, they love street photography.
True.
And that is what I want to bring about in this. Before we speak about your photography journey, why don't we understand a little bit about your profession, your background, how did Bangalore happen to you, and please take us through some of your early days into the world of your profession, and maybe even start off telling us how you got into photography.
Sure. Jayant, I'm basically born and brought up in Kolkata.
Right.
So my father was a doctor. He was an orthopedician, and I grew up in a middle class family in Kolkata till class 12th.
Right.
So I was there in Kolkata till 12th. And as often happens, it happened during the growing up days of 90s. We would always grow up seeing a lot of films.
Right.
Seeing a lot of films and seeing and reading a lot of books.
Right.
So I was no different.
Right.
My growing up days was pretty similar.
Sure.
I grew up with a very big, what should I say, dollops of books from Satyajit Ray. I'm an ardent fan, and I'm absolutely adore him as a person. He has shaped my inner thinking quite a bit over the years.
I see.
So yes, my travel, my way of thinking, my introduction into photography was actually following the cinematography of Ray, basically, and reading a lot of his books.
I see.
So I was there in Kolkata till 12th, and then I came to Bangalore for my graduation and post-graduation. I did my graduation and PG in biotechnology. I've always been into the healthcare field, clinical and healthcare field.
I see.
Then I have worked in Bangalore for a few years, in Gujarat, in UK, and then my initial days of working was into what we call as drug discovery, discovering medicines for various diseases like cancer, inflammation, pain, and all that.
Right.
And then I have also worked in UK for briefly, when I was staying in Ahmedabad in Gujarat. I used to travel to UK. Travel had always been a bug that made me right from my childhood. So after that, I came back to Bangalore again in around maybe 2010, 2009-10, and I was into clinical research.
I see.
It's basically the process of how new medicine comes into the market. So
I see.
been into clinical research and then into what we call as molecular diagnostics. I was into molecular diagnostics for infections.
Wonderful.
Mostly niche areas. And then in 2019, I started my own company with Srinivasan as the co-founder of Zenix Life Sciences. In Zenix Life Sciences,
Wonderful.
So we are the pioneers in what we call as autoimmune neurology diagnostics in India. We are partners with Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences in Cochin. And we test for diseases what are autoimmune diseases but of the brain, of the nervous system.
I see.
So what happens is your own body tends to fight, your immune system, which is supposed to protect you, tends to fight against your own body, in this case brain and nervous system, and damages parts of brain. So we are pioneers in this field. We brought in many new diagnostics, etc. Currently we are the leaders in this field in India.
Wonderful.
And we touch upon a lot of lives of patients who suffer from neurological disorders, which were earlier sort of misdiagnosed, underdiagnosed, but today we help diagnosing them properly and therefore enabling treatment. That's one part. and as a part and another business vertical of my company, we also are into R&D of new products,
Right.
which help in certain neurological conditions, very specific neurological conditions.
Right.
And we try to offer solutions.
Fantastic, fantastic. That seems to be quite an intense profession, very serious, and it probably includes quite a lot of research work, and also it's about lives of people. So I'm
Absolutely.
sure.
So apart from my biotech background, I'm also an executive MBA from IIM Kolkata, and currently I'm pursuing my PhD in autoimmunology from
wow.
Amrita
Wow.
Institute of Medical Sciences.
Fabulous.
Yes, as you said, it involves a lot of research.
Fabulous. Very, very happy and proud to say that, we have relationships with people like you. Now, I would love to know a little bit about why we are here to talk about your exploration, talk about the photographer, and understand your world of photography. That's something I'd like to know about. I'll ask you some specific questions, but I also would love to know from you about the way you think, and let's keep it completely unplanned and let's take it forward from here.
Absolutely.
So, for somebody who is into such academics and also into research and all of these interesting fields, how did the creative side of you happen? How did you start thinking about photography? How did that happen?
Well, Jant, if you ask me, my passion is in traveling.
I see.
Traveling and exploration. So
Right.
I'm right from my childhood. I've been fortunate enough to travel to all parts of India,
Right.
practically.
Right.
Bengalis travel a little bit more.
Of course.
So
Of course.
I have been traveling from ever since I can remember.
Right.
So if you ask me, my actual passion is traveling, exploring new places, finding about new cultures, tradition, people, food, everything.
Understood.
Photography, I would say, is more of a medium of expression
Right.
of that exploration.
Exact
rather
phrase
than-
I use.
Okay. Okay. So it's more of a medium of expression for me. When I started traveling way back in the 80s and then early 90s and things like that, as I said, I was so influenced by Satyajit Ray. I read a lot of books written by him. Now, many people don't know. People normally consider Ray as a filmmaker.
Correct.
But yes, he has
Made some
some
amazing
30
films.
odd films to his credit, but he's also a writer of more than 500 stories.
I see.
And I have read all of them.
Oh, wow.
So a part of his story, the common thread was always traveling and exploration, and I was deeply influenced by that.
Right, right.
So before traveling to any place, I would always read up. In those days, there was no phone, no internet, nothing. But
Of
I would
course.
always read
No
up
YouTube
about that
as well?
place. Nothing, absolutely nothing.
You're talking about the late 90s, right?
No, late 80s. Late
okay. Even as a child, you were traveling.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
definitely. Late 80s and early 90s. By late 80s, I was already 10, 12 years old. So we're probably from the same age group.
Sure.
So yes, so that's the starting point.
Right.
And then my father was a very avid photographer. Apart
Right.
from being a doctor himself, he
I
was
see.
also a very avid photographer, to the extent that he used to develop photos, the films
I see.
in darkroom.
Wonderful.
His friend had a studio, I still remember.
Wonderful.
And he used to do that. So I started with a point and shoot camera like everybody else, maybe a Yashica or something, I don't even remember, and
Okay.
later a Kodak KB10 or something like that.
Sure.
But it used to be always with me.
Understood.
One thing that I used to do always, and I remember doing it, when I used to see films, any film for that matter, I would see the scene in a film and I would imagine that I have a camera in hand
Right.
and freeze a certain frame, even though it's a cinema.
Understood.
So I would look at kind of an imaginary viewfinder, and when somebody turns, or some animal or a man or anything turns this side, I would
Sure.
imaginary
Interesting.
click the
Wonderful.
camera. So that's how probably it got ingrained.
Right.
And during travels, I used to take photographs. Those days, there was not, taking a lot of photographs was not an option.
Absolutely.
We used to have a 36
Film
film,
roll.
and we can only have a couple of rolls in a
Makes
particular
sense.
trip and come and travel. So that's how it all started.
Right.
But yes, when I came to Bangalore after my studies and when I started working professionally,
Right.
those were the days that DSLRs came.
Okay.
And then I actually thought of, although I consider myself largely self-taught, but my starting point of actually formally learning photography was your workshop, way back
okay.
in 2011 11, I
Right.
think we had Toehold's office in the basement.
Correct,
In the general
On the next
office
road.
on the next
Yeah.
road. Yes.
Right, right.
So I attended a workshop for I think 2 days or 3 days.
Right.
Those,
Sure.
So
The
those
weekend
just
workshop.
Weekend workshop, the art and science of photography,
Right.
as we call it.
Right.
And that was my introduction into formally engaging with
Wonderful.
photography in a very serious manner. So
Wonderful.
that was, I think, if I remember correctly, it was 2011.
Right.
So
right.
from 2011 onwards, it has been very serious. It's not just a hobby.
Right.
So, I demarcate. I don't really like the word hobby a bit. I'll come.
That's one of my questions. We'll speak
yeah.
about how it became a serious endeavor for you. We'll speak about that. But
Absolutely.
But before we do that, I'd like to know a little bit about your dad. You had told me that he was, even though he's of our father's age as well, but you told me that he was following social media, he was seeing people's work, and you also told me he saw a couple of my underwater photos long
Absolutely.
back. So tell us about him, please.
Absolutely. So, unfortunately, we lost him in last August. He
Sorry
passed
about
away on the day of Janmashtami in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
But he was, yes, he was a medical practitioner, but
Right.
he was an extremely avid traveler.
Right.
He used to like to travel,
Right.
although he was a more cautious type of a traveler,
Right.
not an explorative kind, but
Right.
he used to travel nonetheless,
Right.
right from the beginning.
Awesome.
And he was a great fan of underwater photography. I remember that because whenever in those days we used to have this Discovery Channel in the
Right.
90s when we had only 2 channels, right?
True,
Then
true.
With the advent of the satellite television and all, we had introduction of Discovery channels and National Geographic and all that.
Right.
So underwater photography is something that he was always hooked on. And
Very interesting.
when I went and showed him some of your underwater photographs, he started, following me, and he used to ask me how is Giant in Bangalore and all that.
Wonderful.
So I remember
I wish
very
you could have
vividly.
met him. Wonderful, wonderful. Great. So you had like me, you had a father who had an immense influence on your,
Yes, definitely.
endeavor of photography and travel and all of that. But my question to you is, a lot of people take photos for a hobby. They all buy a camera. They all indulge in, even attending a workshop. I must have trained over 16,500 people as an organization. I myself must have done a lot of people as different workshops. But for you, when did you realize that it is not just a hobby or something that you'd like to do during pastime? When did you start realizing you're going to make time for this endeavor? When did this become such a serious interest for you?
I think around early 2000.
I see.
Early 2000, that was the time when I was just finishing my graduation and PG days. I still used to have a point camera. I used to take the photographs during
Right.
our, say, college excursions
Right.
to various places.
Right.
And those photographs we used to print in our college, those trip reports.
Of course.
And all that. I thought that I'm not bad at it.
Sure.
But more than that, I think, as I was telling, that I was a huge fan of cinema.
Right.
And that too, an artistic cinema. I
Right.
was always drawn to the visual impact of
course.
freezing a frame. Personally, if you ask me, I consider myself as a still photographer more. Yes, videography nowadays in that age of reels and all that we do, but at the end of the day, I'm a still photographer. And the concept of actually freezing, the idea of freezing a frame in time, which will never repeat again,
Right.
used to draw me a lot. So
Interesting.
early 2000 and then 2005-6 onwards, when I was working here, then abroad, even then I used to have a very basic camera with me and used to, I was always drawn to minimalistic photography then.
I see.
I thought that was a more powerful way of
Right.
so-called storytelling.
Right.
So that was the beginning. And therefore, I would make this point. You asked me about hobby. See, hobby to me is a bit disposable in nature.
Okay.
That when you have time, you engage in hobbies.
Right.
And nowadays, I see a lot of people assigning certain strange reasons to the term hobby.
Right.
It's as if it de-stresses you, it helps you to unwind. I don't believe any one of that.
Okay.
If it's a hobby, it's not disposable. It's
see.
not a tool
Right.
to correct your mood.
Sure.
I use the word passion more. I'm extremely passionate, which is a way of life rather than a hobby.
True.
But many people confuse these two terms, hobby and passion. But for me, passion is something without which you cannot live, without which you cannot
Of course.
do anything about.
Right.
So many people ask me that you're an entrepreneur, you have a busy schedule. How do you take time to go into Bandipur 25 times, or Kabini 20 times, or anywhere for that matter?
Right.
It's not what should I say? I have thought through it. But to me, if you're passionate about something,
You make
finding time is
Yeah.
not an excuse at all.
Of course.
People tend to say that I'm very busy and all that.
Sure.
I don't believe in all that. If it's passion, you find time. And so that transition for me from a hobby to a serious passion
Right.
was about 2008, 9, 10. And that's one of the reasons when a friend of mine, Riju,
Of course, Ray.
Riju, he told me that you should attend Jayan's
Workshop.
workshop, and that is the time I said that no, because everything said and done, when you are learning about photography, say by looking at a YouTube video,
Right.
for example, or
Sure.
fiddling around the camera, the intentionality doesn't kick in unless you dedicate 2-3 days time and
Of
do
course.
nothing at all.
Absolutely.
But-
Focus on
but
it.
focus on it.
Absolutely.
Now that took me to the next level. After that, I would have learned from
Various sources.
many various sources, including many people. And
You need that
but the
kickstart.
foundation
Yeah.
always remained your 3 days of.
Thank you so much. I didn't realize that when we started conceptualizing this podcast, I didn't even remember that fact. But it's
many
amazing
years
to
back.
amazing to know that. So that's great. So I mean, like for me as well, I don't know what is my hobby, because when I used to sing, I wouldn't call it a hobby because I went to class. I went to I give exams. I went through rigorous training. I remember my music teacher would put a small dabba in my mouth to make me learn how to open my mouth and sing, and not sing or closing my teeth. That was the kind of training that we went through, even not through academics but also to extra curriculum. So I can understand the passion you're talking about, and that's why I think some of us just take pictures on weekends, and some of us make time on the weekend to take pictures, travel, and make it an endeavor which is not just a pastime but also becomes a meaningful thing.
Many a time on weekdays, not just on weekends.
Right.
See, for example, when I'm on a business trip,
Right.
Anywhere in India,
Right.
doesn't matter, I generally try to take at least half a day or 1 day extra to pursue. I mean, nothing. The earth, the sky doesn't fall on the head.
Absolutely.
If nothing is that important.
Right. Right.
To finish it in 2 hours. People today, I would say it's a sense of what should I say? I know it's an unpopular perception, but I think there's a bloated sense of ego, bloated sense of self-importance,
I know.
which makes people tell that I don't have time.
I'm
I
too
am very
busy.
I don't.
If you don't have time for yourself, then who do you have time for, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Great. Wonderful. On that thought, I want to ask you, now a lot of people travel, and people like you travel with a purpose, and sometimes it's also about photography, but then I know that it's more about storytelling through photography. So what do you think photography does to the endeavor of travel?
Well, it enriches to a large extent. See, as I was saying, my primary passion is traveling. Now, why is it so? I've thought about it. Why is it that I'm so passionate about traveling? Is it just seeing new places, meeting new people, or eating new food? Not necessarily.
Right.
It's a way of self-discovery as well.
Right. Okay.
When you travel to new places, you're out of the comfort zone or out of the environment that probably you have
You're
brought
always
up.
in.
And you spend, say, 30 years, 40 years in
Right.
in environment. You are out of that environment into
Sure.
something where you are as equal as anybody else in that area. And therefore, you have time to immerse yourself into that culture. Now, when I say culture, it could be that place, it could be the language, food, the flora, fauna, in cases of wilderness.
Absolutely.
It's that area's natural resources, whatever it is.
True.
So you have time to get yourself immersed into that. That's the reason why you tend to forget everything else and enjoy the traveling. Now, as you are traveling, as you're exploring new people, places, when you have a medium of expressing what you are actually seeing, what you're actually expressing,
Right.
or what you're actually experiencing in that place,
course.
that becomes a tool to, as I said, to freeze a frame permanently in the moment
Absolutely.
of time,
Absolutely.
which will never repeat again.
Right.
Now, when you come back and see those photographs, you not only relive the moments that you are traveling, but it also serves, gives you a trigger to think and later write something about it. And I also write quite a bit. I've published more than 15, 20 photo stories on different aspects, including wildlife. So that writing comes from A, experiencing that place,
Right.
but B, also photographing and making those moments immortal.
Right.
So
right.
therefore, to answer your question again, what photography does to travel is to enrich that experience
Right.
and makes it worthy to live with it for the rest of the life.
Absolutely. In fact, I was remembering another friend of mine. I think I mentioned him to you as well. His name is Amartya Mukherjee.
You
I
mentioned.
see a lot of similarities in the way you guys talk and think.
Okay.
And now that you mentioned a few things about your passion, your travel, your storytelling, and all of that, and I do know that we'll get a little more deeper into a specific genre of photography, which is what we call as in a loosely termed language as street photography, but then my father's era used to call it pictorial photography. But you also mentioned Kabini and Bandipur and all of that. So tell us about these two different genres of photography that you're indulging in. What does a wildlife trip mean to you versus going to, let's say, a place with a lot of culture and heritage and stuff like that? What's the difference for you between these two?
I'll answer this.
Yeah.
See, primarily, as I said, I love traveling. Now, when it comes to genres of photography, I'm not a great believer in segregating
Categorizing.
genres or categorizing genres of photography, and I'll explain that a little bit
okay.
more. When it comes to categorization of photography into genres, I understand where it comes from.
Right.
Particularly in today's world, when you talk about self-branding,
Specialization.
Specialization. Yes, specialization helps because A, it helps to create a brand.
Right.
Particularly in the social media,
Right.
Today's era of social media, it helps
True.
create a brand, it
True.
helps recall,
Right.
it helps other people associate with you. But none of these are the reasons why I picked up the camera in the first
Of course.
place. So when I look back, there was no social media.
Right.
I often think about it. Why? What made me, photographing in the first place when I was 10 years old?
Right.
And I keep thinking about it. Although the way I photograph, the way I look at things, the way I look at life would have evolved, the fundamental reason why I took up the camera in the first place probably
Right.
hasn't changed over the years.
I'm glad.
And photography to me is a medium of expression nonetheless, but
Right.
it is also a mode of expansion.
Of course.
So I don't like to narrow down
Perspective.
my perspective and look at the world with a filter,
Right.
which if the filter, it filters out a lot of other things which I would like to experience. But if you put a filter
Right.
and miss out on other things which would excite me equally,
Sure.
then I am not probably justifying the reason why I became a photographer in the first place. That is number one.
Sure.
Now, number two, the question that you asked, I am a great nature lover. I cannot stay away from forest for more than 2 or 3 months at max.
Right.
And given an opportunity, probably I would go every week.
Right.
But I cannot stay away from that for more than
Right.
that. We have a group of friends who travel at least 2 to 3 times a year.
Right.
All of us are like-minded friends.
Awesome.
Riju, Ronojoy, Abhishek. At a time, we take some, 7-8 equipments from, Toehold
rent,
and travel
absolutely.
together.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we have that opportunity, we have that luxury, and we have not missed a single year for the last 12 or 13 years, if I remember correctly. Every year, at least once,
Right.
if not 2 or 3 times, we travel.
Wonderful.
Now, whether I'm traveling to, say, a Bandipur or a Kabini, or when I'm going to a Kumbh Mela, for example, or Varanasi, we'll come to Varanasi and talk about it a little bit more, but the essence of it remains traveling, and
Right.
I enjoy going out.
Right. Right.
Yes. When I'm in a safari jeep, when there's say for example, a tiger is walking head on and I'm focusing on the eyes,
Sure.
what I'm doing at the core is also freezing that moment in time
Right.
and kind of from there, it helps as a trigger to, expand my thoughts or my viewers' thoughts from that image as a starting point.
Understood.
Similarly, if I'm on the ghats of Varanasi, say for example on a foggy winter morning, and if I see a sadhu taking a dip in the Ganges, but mostly fog, I'm essentially doing the same thing.
Of course.
I'm freezing that moment and trying to trigger a story
Right.
which would linger in the minds of my viewers.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
essentially, when I'm photographing, I don't see there is a fundamental difference as to what I'm doing,
Right.
whether I'm traveling to a Corbett or a Bandhavgarh or a Tadoba to
A
a
Hampi
Kumbh
or-
Mela
yeah.
or a Hampi or
Makes sense.
places where today cultural photography is
Absolutely.
something that which has come up
Right,
in a big way. A lot of people travel. I was told, though I haven't been there personally, there's a festival called as Kulasai Dasera, which happens in Tamil Nadu
I see.
every year. So last year, Srini, who is the co-founder of Zenix,
Right.
he told me that village where this Kulasai Dashera happens and a lot of photographers from across India
Right.
go there, it's a single lane town.
Ah, okay.
And to reach that 4-kilometer stretch, it took 7.5 hours.
Wow.
So what happens is that these many number of people going there, etc. So there's obviously a growing interest
Absolutely.
in these areas. But essentially, as I said, it's all about not just telling a story.
Right.
I'll take some time about what my perspectives are in
Right.
storytelling
Absolutely.
per se. But it is something which I rather look at it in a way which can elicit a response, a human emotion, in my view.
Makes sense. Thank you so much. That's a very interesting but a very different perspective from usual stories I hear. Thank you for that. So what I was pondering over when you were talking is I wanted to ask you this. So when you're saying you're going to capture, you're going to bring out a story, sometimes when it comes to people, what really are you hoping to capture sometimes? Because when you say a portrait, right? We speak of storytelling in portraits and all of that. What is it that you're really trying to capture when you take a person's face or a portrait? As a lot of my viewers are wildlife enthusiasts, perhaps they would love to hear this perspective. Even though I know what people like my father and also his guru, I don't know if you've heard of him, Padma Shri T.S. Satyan.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so I know from their perspective, but for you, what do you think when you say you're capturing a photograph?
Okay. First and foremost, I have a little bit of a problem with the word capture.
Okay.
Okay, to
Right.
start with.
Right.
See, and everybody today uses this word, I know,
Right.
because it comes naturally.
Right.
And you're capturing a photo. To me, it's a little constrictive in the perspective. When you're capturing, when you're thinking in your mind that you're capturing something, it's more of enslaving it. It's more of encasing it into
Boundary.
certain boundaries. It's more of liberation.
Right.
When we're taking images or we're making images, we are probably liberating a certain scene or an emotion, both figuratively as well as from the narrative point of view. So I keep telling this to myself, although I myself use this word capture sometimes, but I do keep telling it to myself many
Right.
times that essentially it's not capturing an image at all.
Right. Right.
Number one. Number two, in terms of what I want to portray, now I will take a little detour and discuss about the concept of storytelling.
Right.
Now, in today's world, I see almost everyone uses the term visual storyteller. I'm a visual storyteller.
Right.
I'm a storyteller, and everybody
True.
says that
Right.
I'm a storyteller. Now, let's take a little bit. Let's spend a little bit of time understanding this concept of storytelling. Now, today, when suppose Instagram, let's take that platform.
Sure.
I don't have a Facebook account, so I'm not a great social media person, but I do have an Instagram account.
Right.
If you take Instagram, that's probably the most prominent platform for photography. Now, everyone is telling a story.
True.
Now, I am scrolling for 5-6 minutes,
Right.
for example,
Sure.
sometimes 10 minutes. In that, I would have scrolled some 100 and 150 photographs.
True.
is it humanly possible for my mind to register 150 stories?
Not at all.
So every one of us is telling that I'm telling a story. Who is listening?
True.
Do we have an audience to listen to thousands of stories today? In the process, what's happening, Jen, according to me, and it's a personal opinion,
Interesting.
that we are abusing or abusing the concept of storytelling. Yes, storytelling is fundamental in photography.
Right.
It is the central pillar.
Right.
But when all of us are shouting at the same time that we are telling stories, the viewer is probably not listening to any one of the stories, because today many things have changed. One is photographs have become louder.
Of course.
I always use this concept, or I always think about this concept of bringing silence into photographs. Now, a photography...
Bringing silence into photography.
Bringing silence into photographs. And photography is not cinematography, so there's no sound actually. So the concept of silence is figuratively as well as from the narration point of view. So it's absence of clutter.
Okay.
It's also, most importantly, creating a vacuum where the viewer gets some space to start thinking.
Of course.
Today's photography, at least the social media photography, the digital photography, is very loud. It's too loud for my liking.
Okay.
And what do I mean by that is everybody's screaming for attention.
True.
That look at my photograph.
True.
So apart from a photograph, there's a lot of a photographer coming into the photograph.
Right. It's not about the subject as much as it should have been, right?
As much as should have been, number one, to the extent that with 120 FPS being a commodity these days, we have a slowly
picking up
a camera first and then showing the photograph.
True.
I'm not going into what is right or what is wrong, but I'm just telling my perspective that in all this, the viewer is not getting the space to think. Photography, it's losing its breathing space.
True.
Now, when I allow someone to participate in my photograph by means of inviting him to be a part of my photograph, that is storytelling. Now, there's a subtle difference between narrating a story in a photograph and the photograph being a story in itself.
I see.
Today, I think we are narrating a lots of stuff, a lot of context, a lot of explanations, and sometimes even justification for a photograph.
And what's worse is also technical information about the photo, like what aperture, what shutter speed, which is painful. It's
painful, and which camera did you use and all that. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
Now, what is happening in this is this silence. This is the silence that I talk about.
Right.
When you are pushing something down the throat of your viewer, I'm a photographer, and if I try to push something down the throat of my viewer, then look at this photograph, this is what it means, and with a kind of a background music and a lot of other paraphernalia, which I am telling you how you should feel by looking into the photograph, then as a viewer, you have no role to play in photography.
Of course.
Photography has always traditionally been an interface where a photographer talks to the viewer. Today, a photographer is shouting and the viewer is silent and endlessly scrolling. Now, if you actually think about it, the photographs that stayed with us for years during our growing up days. If I remember, let's take some examples. During Vietnam War, there's a very famous photograph which is called as the Napalm Girl.
Right.
A 7 to 8 year old girl who was burnt during the Vietnam War. She's running naked, and there are soldiers around. Now there was no loud proclamations in that photograph. There's no dramatic captions, no audio visual effects or sound behind that, sound of a bomb or all that. The photograph was just a photograph, and when I saw that, it took me to that area, and there's a lot of human emotions that it elicited. Pain, confusion, humanity, a lot of those things, and it stayed with me. Now the difference here is that photo was not shouting and telling me what is the point in that photograph. Often the most interesting part of photography is not the point, it's the mystery.
Of course.
It's the mystery, it's the ambiguity where I get time to think. Now, the same photograph, how I will start thinking, you will start thinking in a different way because of your life experiences will fill up that vacuum.
Absolutely.
And therefore, a photography a photograph, those memorable photographs, Steve McCurry's The Afghan Girl, or
Right.
there was a photograph by Kevin Carter in Sudan.
In Somalia.
In Somalia or Sudan, where
The vulture image.
Which got a Pulitzer Award. Now, how I started thinking about the photograph, what would I have done if I was in the situation, what
Right.
it looks like, or how it feels like to be, growing up in a country like that
Of
is
course.
very different
True.
from somebody who is growing up, say, in Delhi or New York or Spain or Singapore. But the
Sure.
photograph remains the same. So the main fundamental job or the main fundamental beauty of the photograph is not to tell the full story.
Of course.
It is the start of a story
Right.
which me as a viewer
Has to
will
complete it.
complete,
Has to interpret it.
has to interpret. And therein lies the beauty of photography. Today we are telling too much.
True.
And we all call ourselves storytellers, but instead of telling a story, we are
Sure.
probably shouting on top of our voice in telling what you as a viewer should feel. And therefore, we are distancing the viewer from us.
And also, we're not letting them imagine anything, right?
Exactly.
We are telling too many things. I agree with your point. We are making the person listen to us, not use their own imagination, mind, and interpretation.
Now, there are two layers to this. One is from the photographer's perspective itself. Probably we are not creating, we are not giving enough breathing space for photographs in the photographs that we are making in the first place.
Right.
Number two is also the technology. See, 25 years back, when me and you used to probably stand in a queue in an old bookshop to buy those old National Geographic magazines, there was
Right.
intentionality
True.
in seeing a photograph.
True.
So I would spend 15 minutes of my time or 20 minutes of my time just to look at photographs and do nothing else. I would go to a gallery where there's a photography exhibition going on,
Sure.
or I'll probably buy photography books with the little pocket money
Right.
that we grew up with 90s. In Calcutta, used to have this annual Kolkata Boy Mela,
Absolutely.
which was probably the more important event
Right.
in the annual calendar, more important than our birthdays.
Of course.
Because that was the time when we'll go and buy books and buy photography books,
True.
where we'll spend half an hour time looking at the photographs. So that intentionality makes all the difference. Today, photographs are coming to us.
Absolutely.
We are not intentionally seeking for photographs. So I just open my phone and 10,000 photographs come to me.
Right.
And when intentionality, the intentionality drops,
Right.
I feel
The supply
that
is
the attention,
too much more and no demand.
yes, absolutely. It becomes a commodity.
I
So
understand.
today, people talk about photographs as being content. Probably we have reduced photography to the level of just being a content to feed certain algorithms.
That's a very powerful thought. Thank you for that
And
perspective.
I strongly believe in that. I often tell, I think you must have seen, when it comes to photography, I remember a film called The Bridges of Madison County.
Of
I don't know
course.
whether you have seen it. You must
Right,
have seen
absolutely.
it. It is a 90s film, but I have actually seen that film only a couple of years back.
I see.
That too after a very close friend of mine
Recommended.
insisted that I
Okay.
actually see that film. And thereafter I have seen that film many times. No, simple film. It's Clint Eastwood and Meryl Streep. Clint Eastwood is a photographer.
Right.
They meet, and the few days of their interaction changes their lives for the rest of their lives forever.
Of course.
Now there's a closing scene in that film. Not the closing scene, but there's a scene in that film where Meryl Streep is inside a car, and I think one of her hands is on the door handle, and Clint Eastwood comes out in the road in torrential rain.
Of course.
Now she's inside the car, and they just look at each other. Clint Eastwood come towards her. She was looking. Probably she was Francesca is the name of the character that Meryl
Right.
Streep was playing,
Right.
and she was probably about to open the door. She doesn't, and she stays inside the car.
Okay.
And Clint Eastwood turns back and goes back. Now, had she gone out, there starts the story where you get involved. What would have happened if she comes out of this car and pursues a completely different life?
Right.
Now, in all this couple of minutes of this film, there is no dramatic background.
Sure.
There is no dialogue.
Of course.
There is no background score to tell me
Right.
how to interpret her feeling. It's only her feelings.
Makes sense.
Pure photography, zoomed in, camera work. Same with Clint Eastwood, and they go back. So in this couple of minutes, there was no conversation,
There's no dialogues. There's no
nothing
yeah.
at all. So what happened there is that I got into that scene and it stayed with me forever. I thought of, many nights, what would have happened if she went out.
This was the closing scene, right? This was just a few minutes before.
Just a few minutes before the scene. Now, I think that is what probably we are missing out in photography. And you're asking me a question, what do I like to portray in street photography in people? I think it is this silence, it is this emotion that I want to elicit in my viewer.
Right.
I don't want to tell a hell of a lot of things.
True.
In fact, you've written the foreword for my book, and you mentioned the same thing, that I have kept a lot of spaces for viewers to come in and think, rather than
blinds.
shouting on top of my voice that, look, this is how it is. This is how it is only from my perspective, but that's not the objective of photography. Photography is more inclusive in nature.
Absolutely.
And unless we have viewers immersed into our work, we lose
Makes sense.
the very idea of why we picked up the camera.
As a child, I remember one of my father's photos of a mandi worker, a laborer, sitting after a hard day's work next to a bunch of bullock carts, and he's sitting there, and there's no caption, there's nothing. It's just an interesting title. I'd love to show it in this podcast. Sure. It was called Chakraborty.
Okay.
And he was a old man, far away from being a Chakraborty, but then the word chakra was a pun, and it was very interesting, and it made people imagine it. A lot of salons had awarded that image and stuff like that. I can now relate to your thought process of...
See, I'll take one more example. One of your photographs, I show it to many people. You had a series of polar bear photos with bloodied mouth and all that, I think a couple of years back, where there's a series of photographs. One, I think there's a harp seals, which the polar bears killed, and there was a couple of images with the prey.
Of course.
And then,
still alive and
all that.
gruesome. Yeah.
Now, when we think of Arctic, when we think of those places, red is the color that does not come to our mind.
Absolutely. White.
Normally.
It's all white.
It's all white and shades of blue.
Sure.
But not red.
True.
Now, there's one photograph of yours where the bear is coming down, I think, towards that water. It's on the snow.
Correct.
It's on the ice, but it's coming down on the water. The prey is not seen.
Right. Completely.
The prey is not in the frame.
Sure.
But the face of the polar bear is bloodied. It's red.
Absolutely.
Now, that hooks me in to think, what would have happened there?
Interesting.
It's almost give me goosebumps that if I was there, I would probably feel the chills, and I was imagining what could have happened before this scene.
Right.
Is it because it killed some prey to feed its cub,
right.
or is it for its own? How long did it take to make the kill? So all that things start to flock my mind.
Right.
So your photo, in this case, is not the entire story.
Absolutely.
It's a snippet which invites me
to imagine
and participate in the story.
Interesting.
So that is what I think is the stellar quality of photography, which we are missing these days to a great extent.
Absolutely.
Given the amount of noise. Now, can we replace digital medias or social media? Absolutely not. It's unrealistic. But what I feel should happen, Jack, is that we should have a little bit more dedicated time for this intentionally to come back. For example, certain websites only for photography lovers, where it will have serious photography alone, and not the other distractions that come in a normal social media platform. For example, then printed books. Today, the habit of reading books, I thought it's reducing, but I may be wrong, because I never imagined after I published my book that I will sell hundreds of copies. Okay, I never thought.
Right.
Today, it has happened. I have sold probably more than 200, 300.
We'll speak about the book in a bit.
Copies, but which means that people still do read books. And when you are reading a book, you are seeing photographs with the intention of only seeing photographs and doing nothing at that time. Same thing, when we are watching a film, We are watching a film, but it's over a period of 3 hours or 2 hours.
True.
We are watching an IPL match.
True.
The intention is to watch Virat Kohli bat or the entire match.
Absolutely.
We are doing nothing else. Yes, we are dancing and singing and all that, but the objective is to see the match. Same
Right.
with when we are reading a book.
True.
But in case of photographs, because of the change of medium today, we no longer, hardly any people go to, photographic exhibitions. Now, I have done more than 20-25 exhibitions in Kolkata and Bangalore and other parts of this country. But the crowd which comes to photography exhibitions today, they are serious photography lovers. They spend a lot of time looking at photographs. One of the artists which greatly influenced me, I like his lot is Prabhuda Dasgupta.
Of course.
The late Prabhuda Dasgupta. He redefined fashion photography and people photography to a great extent. Now,
Absolutely.
there was a exhibition, I think it was in Chitrakala Parishad in Bangalore, I don't remember it, but 3-4 years back, where I went there in an afternoon. And apart from me, there were probably 2-3 other people in that entire gallery which
Right.
were showcasing 30-40 of Prabhuda Das' work.
Absolutely.
Yes, towards the evening, some 15-20 people came.
Right.
But those 20 people came to the exhibition to see photographs and do nothing else.
Absolutely.
So I think these kind of, we should take initiatives for more such things to happen,
Sure.
where we bring back that silence
Absolutely.
into photography a little bit more, bring back immersive aspect of photography a little bit more.
Absolutely.
And that has always been my endeavor when I look through my viewfinder.
Interesting. In Delhi last weekend, I was conducting a workshop, and this lady called Arundhati asked me, how do we tell stories through images? And I was telling her about how relatively in wildlife photography, storytelling is relatively tougher than, let's say, a pictorial photographers, let's say street photography and all of that. But you've given me thoughts on how even in wildlife there could be interpretations, there could be, by not revealing too much, I think the culprit is the captions, the hashtags and all of that, which also fine-tune the perspective.
Yes, I know why we are doing it also. See, 25 years back, the viewership for photography was only for photography. Today, we are jostling for space. Now,
Right.
I know that my viewer has half a second's time. Now, probably my photo is not enough.
Right.
Now, there are 150 other fantastic photographers whom my viewer also follows. So their photographs are also coming in the feed
Right.
when I'm going through that. So in a span of 7 to 8 minutes, I have photographs of you, for example. Let's talk about wildlife alone. Photographs of you, Tritimanda, Sudhir, Sandesh, Paul Nicklin, people whom I follow very
Right.
closely,
True.
Shivang. So those photographs, all of them are fantastic photographs.
Sure.
But all of them are trying to
Grab space.
put something additional and trying to tell me that look at my photo, I'm telling you a story.
True.
And not leaving it to me to pause
True.
and then deconstruct that narrative, that story in my mind.
Makes sense.
Now, I don't follow too much of other things. My whole objective of having a social media presence is
Makes
purely
sense.
photography and music.
So,
So,
interesting.
therefore, I think that, as you rightly said, probably we are trying a little bit too harder.
True.
We need to take a step back and therefore tell the stories. Now, I still remember one of your initial photographs. You talked about it during your art and science of photography
Workshop.
course. It's the photo of the elephant which is charging,
Right.
and there's a dust, and it's mostly in silhouette. And I remember you
Sure.
telling that you're actually you were
Backing
probably
off.
retreating, backing off while taking that photograph. But that is an impact because there's a lot of ambiguity in that photo. There's a lot of mystery in that photo.
Right.
Now, it's not a crystal clear photo with all the veins of the elephant are visible,
Right.
the eyelids are visible, none of that.
Sure.
Because of that obscurity and because of the fact that it's slightly silhouetted, I do not see the entire elephant, is what intrigues me, what
Interesting.
invites me into that photograph.
Interesting.
Similarly, I remember one of your photographs where there's a polar bear again with two small cubs trailing it. I think it was a black and white image
Sure.
with a lot of
Cloud and- yeah.
cloud behind. And you can almost hear the rustling of air when I see that photograph. I'm a big
interesting.
follower of Paul Nicklin.
Awesome.
I follow
my favorite
Paul a lot.
as well.
Yeah, so when I see his photographs, I get this feeling of being drawn into that situation, and makes me, as a fellow photographer, to think, when should I go to those places? So
Wonderful.
that's something that probably we need to
Very-
actively work on. It's our fault.
Right, right.
Not exactly a fault, but it's the situation is so that we are drawn into doing things in a way that
Sure.
otherwise we probably wouldn't have done, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years back.
Absolutely. I love the intellectual intensity of this conversation. Let's keep it coming. And I'm getting a lot of ideas, and also probably getting a little inspired to go to all these places myself, because, I've been mostly doing wildlife trips in the last few years, but I do think, remembering my early days, I should make some time for exploring the culture and heritage of this country as well. So I would really be grateful for this conversation, because the kind of thoughts that it is triggering has been very interesting.
Yeah, so as you were saying, I'm also, thinking at the back of the mind. I remember, I think I heard you in some of your videos. I remember me just correct me if I'm wrong. Your father used to give you a camera without a film, and he used to go to Rangantittu.
True.
Just to focus a flying pelican and click, but there was no film inside.
I'll tell this story,
Yeah.
and then you continue what you were about to say.
Yeah.
So basically, in my teens or maybe early 20s, we still had a photo studio,
Right.
which is now not a business anymore. So I would get interested in wildlife, and I wanted to go and take pictures of birds in flight. And there were no DSLRs back then.
Right.
So my father had instructed my studio assistant that after we have reached about 22 shots on the roll, we can't keep waiting for the last few passport photos to be clicked. So why don't you give that roll to my son,
Okay.
who will then go and expose 7, 8, 10 frames and come back, and however they are, it's okay. We need to anyway cut the frame, cut the roll and develop it anyway. So I would get those 7, 8 film rolls. After I started telling my dad, initially I was supposed to go with an empty camera without even a film roll,
Without even a film
stand there with a 70 to 200 f
Yeah.
2.8, some Nikon, whatever, FM10, and so I it's a manual focus lens. So
Yes.
initially he told me, in the older Nikon camera, when you focus correctly, 2 halves will coincide
Yes.
and look sharp. So he would tell me, go and practice, and once you start seeing birds in flight in focus, come back and we'll give you 5, 6 slots of the film roll. And that was the backstory. But why did you remember it?
The reason is that even as photographers, the effort to make an image was much more.
Right.
Today it's far more easy. Now, probably somewhere in this journey,
Right.
somewhere as we evolving into photographers,
Right.
we don't need to spend so much of effort
Right.
into making an image.
True.
Now, that's the same thing. I was remembering this because I was telling you that when I used to see a National Geographic documentary, sitting in front of a TV, I'll have an imaginary camera in the hand with the focus button shifting and trying to focus on the eye. The moment something turns and clicks,
Manifestation.
and I would sometimes miss it. I would know I couldn't shift the focus button and the animal turned back. I have missed a shot.
Wow.
Now, this helps when you're in
True.
the field.
True.
But there was an effort.
Right.
Today, yes, the technology has evolved to a great extent. Now,
Sure.
just 15 years back, if you talk about, I had a 70 Mark II and all that. Now you have to manually change the focus button. There were 150 focus points. Today, the entire frame is full of focus points. And you actually need not shift the focus point manually because with the AI-powered ability to detect human eye separately, bird eye separately, animal eye separately, it will instantaneously focus and it will keep tracking it.
Right. Right.
So my job is essentially to compose correctly.
Right. Right.
The rest, the AI and the other technology will do the rest for me.
Sure.
Now it's getting easier to photograph. So therefore is my worry, are we losing quality in search of depth? Now remember, the photographs are also not printed on books where
True.
people are paying money to see it.
Yeah.
We are not paying additional money to see photographs. It's coming in our internet recharge, in our mobile anyway.
Absolutely.
And therefore, and this is something, the platform is something which is designed for speed
Right.
and not for depth.
True. True.
So when we are lacking depth and something which is designed for speed, and at the same time we are making photographs way too easily, yes, they are looking fantastic.
Right.
with the glasses available today
True.
and the sensor technologies and the mirrorless cameras today, the quality of photographs are fantastic. But at the same time, many people are taking fantastic photographs. So how do we, really grasp an attention or invite somebody into that storytelling process
True.
is what I keep thinking. Now,
Right.
I may be wrong,
Right.
but I don't stop thinking about
Right.
this. And in this discussion with you,
Right.
and I'll also discuss this offline, that
Absolutely.
what's the way forward?
Absolutely. It also reminds me of a beautiful quote that I use in my workshops. It's making a sharp photo of a fuzzy concept. It's a beautiful, sharp photograph, but there's nothing beyond just counting feathers or
Nothing
seeing the sharp details of the skin textures and all of that.
Absolutely.
Somewhere I think we have stopped bridging that gap of
Yes.
storytelling and. Now I would love to know a little bit about your book.
Yeah.
I have the book with me, and I know that I have been a part of this book's creation. I also have written
The foreword for
foreword
this book.
for the book.
You
Thank
and
you.
Anjanda, yes,
Yeah,
it's
thank
a
you
pleasure.
thank you for the opportunity. So tell us about this book itself for people who I would love to show. It's called Kashi, Chronicles of Eternity. I think when you started thinking about this book, it must have taken you a couple of years, 2-3 years, multiple trips, sometimes going for that idea you want to execute. Take us through this journey of making this book, please.
See, I was born and brought up in Kolkata. Now, Kolkata traditionally and historically had a very deep relationship with Varanasi.
With Varanasi and Kolkata.
Varanasi and Kolkata.
How far is it?
It's about an overnight journey.
Okay.
It's not very far. It's just when you cross Bihar from West Bengal and enter UP, Varanasi.
Right.
Is there. Varanasi is basically almost very near to the Bihar.
Both
border,
cities
some
on the
50
banks of the same river.
kilometers. Yeah.
Right.
That's one of the reasons. But traditionally, a lot of widows, Bengali women, would go to Varanasi and stay there. In Varanasi, there's a history of Bengali settlement for more than 400, 500, 600 years
Interesting.
that I know of.
Okay.
So there could be much more. Now, I've always seen from my childhood that people in Kolkata, we are travelers by birth. I saw your podcast with Ritimanda, and I absolutely adore him for the person that he is and his sense of purpose to photography. So I was finding similar ideology of the concept of traveling.
Right.
So when we started traveling from Kolkata, there would be mainly 2-3 places.
Right.
One is Puri,
Right.
Jagannath Puri,
course.
Darjeeling, and Varanasi. We'd go multiple times.
Right.
Now, eventually I had to go anyway
Right.
to Varanasi because that would be in the itinerary for if not
for a typical
today, then
Bengali
tomorrow.
family.
Typical Bengali
Right.
family.
Right.
But also Satyajit Ray. Now, Satyajit Ray's the film trilogy called is Pothir Panchali, you must have
Okay.
heard about it. That was his first three films.
I see.
The second part of this trilogy, which was called as Oporajito, this film was largely shot in Varanasi. So
I
that
see.
was my introduction into Varanasi. And I've written the same in the preface of my book as well. At a very young tender age. So there was an opening scene of that film where this character Opu, he would look at Varanasi. There's a train which is crossing the Malviya bridge over the Ganges, and he was seeing the famous Varanasi. The famous Varanasi ghats from that Malviya bridge. That's the opening scene, and then from then on, it's goes into the gullies and ghats and mandirs of Varanasi. So that was my introduction, and later through many other films, many other books, I was always knowing a lot about Varanasi much before I went there. But I think if I remember correctly, I went to Varanasi for the first time in 1994 or 95.
Wow.
I think it was 94 when I was in school. And then on, I have been at least 20 times.
Right.
But most times it has been traveling on foot and exploring.
I see.
You don't go to Varanasi to actually tick a lot of check boxes. That I am going to Varanasi to go to this temple, that ghat.
It's not like a sightseeing place.
It's absolutely not a sightseeing. You go there and the place invites you in. There's no other place in India like Varanasi. Absolutely not.
Makes
and
sense.
I have traveled to almost all parts of India. There is no other place like Varanasi in India.
I can imagine.
It's very immersive, but at the same time, it's very introspective in nature, the place itself. So therefore, you go there every time and you find new things, new ways of looking at Varanasi, new ways of looking inwards.
Wow.
When you travel to that place. And it's a photographer's delight.
Of course.
If you love traveling, if you love the so-called people photography
Right.
and street photography and portrait photography, documentary photography, although all of them
Right.
have very overlapping boundaries,
True.
there's nothing rigid about the boundaries of these
True.
So-called genres, but it's a photographer's delight.
Absolutely.
It's happening. I mean, it's happening all the time, right from the dawn. And to me, the dawn is the best time to walk on the ghats of Varanasi and photograph just
Right.
before the sunrise,
Right.
and also explore the gullies during the afternoon. So
Makes sense.
I've always photographed, not with the intention of creating a book someday. I never thought
Right.
about it till probably even 7-8 years back. I don't think so. But once in 2018, me and Riju, we went to Varanasi, and it so happened that I joined him at in the 11th hour.
Okay.
So he came to my home and we discussed a lot about Varanasi because by then, I'm talking about 2018, by then I would have gone to Varanasi some 10-15 times. And
Right.
this was the first trip for Riju. So he would come and ask me, boss,
Notes.
please tell me, kya karna hai, kya rehna hai, kahan pe rehna hai, and all that. So one of his nephew is from Varanasi, a very close friend of mine, I can say friend,
Okay.
brother,
Right.
all of them. That family is very close to me.
Sure.
So they stay in Varanasi.
Right.
So Riju went there 3-4 days before I went there, and I joined him at the last moment. There was 2-3 days of overlap,
Right.
and then I stayed back for probably 7-8 days more.
Sure.
And then he had to come back and join his office because it was not a perfectly planned trip together.
Makes sense.
So that was the time, and I remember, and I still remember it vividly. I think it was D850 that I took from Toehold, 70-200,
Right.
16 mm wide,
Wow.
and probably we also had a 2470 f2.8. In that I had Nikon gear, he had his Canon gears.
I see.
So that was the time we did nothing but photography
Right.
from say 4 a.m. in the morning till 2 a.m. in the night.
Wow.
With very little rest in between.
Wow.
And we would walk to these places, and Varanasi has to be traveled on foot. There's no other
course.
alternative to that.
True.
And that gave me an inkling that, no, I think this is now a serious body of work already,
Right.
and I should pursue this. I still thought that the images were not enough, not worthy enough to be, collated into a book. After that, I went another thing at least 2-3 times. 2024, then 2023 once,
Okay.
in peak winter.
Sure.
And we made a lot of
Awesome.
photographs across Varanasi.
Right.
The last tour in 2024, I had a clear intention.
Okay.
I knew that I will make a book.
Now you had a body
out
of
it.
work
I had
and
a body
also-
of work, and I went to places where I have not been before.
I see.
Just
Even for you, after 15-20
after
times.
50, it is that big. Okay, you cannot probably see the entire Varanasi in a lifetime.
Oh.
There are so many gullies and so many places to explore.
I see.
And I went to some this akhras of Kushti,
Of course.
and those places, the very famous ghats.
Right.
Apart from the ghats, which are very famous, there's
Sure.
a lot more to Varanasi other than the ghats also.
Absolutely.
So I went to those places purely with the intention of photographing and eliciting response from my viewers. I like to tell it that way rather than telling the story of Varanasi. Varanasi's story cannot be told to someone. You have to experience
Absolutely.
Varanasi to live it. So my objective has always been to put in few snippets and invite my viewers into the process
Of getting to know it.
of getting to know Varanasi, even if you have not been to Varanasi. The
Makes
same
sense.
way, probably your polar bear photo,
Has triggered.
elicits my imagination
Makes
to
sense.
flow. That has been my object.
Why do you call it Chronicles of Eternity? What was the
thought behind the naming, the caption of Chronicles of Eternity is that stories is too cliched. The word stories is too cliched. And Varanasi, there is no story with a beginning and an end. So there's a sense of eternity. There's a sense of eternal flow in that city.
I see.
So what we are looking at when we are photographing anything in that city is a cross-sectional view of something which has always been happening. Now that's one of the oldest living continuously inhabited living cities in the world.
Makes sense.
Varanasi. So therefore, when we are looking at something that's happening in the ghats or in the gullies, we are just seeing a snippet in the moment of the time. Probably when my grandfather used to go to Varanasi, he would probably see the same image. Probably would have seen the same kind of an imagery.
Right.
Obviously not the same person,
True.
but maybe the same imagery. So there is no start and end to a story of Varanasi. So therefore, I thought of using the word chronicles and eternity
makes sense
together. So these are the small chronicles of all snippets which are eternal in nature. So therefore the name. And I always had Kashi in mind. It would never be Varanasi or Benares for me.
I see.
It would always be Kashi, because when I grew up, I always heard the word Kashi, and my introduction into that city was with the name Kashi, so there was no ambiguity on that at all.
Absolutely. I have a question. Now, over 20 years or 15 years of going 15, 20, 30 times to the same place, I'm assuming you would have hundreds and hundreds of photos. Now, tell us about the process of selecting 200 from 20,000. How did you choose? What was the thought process? Did you tell yourself that I'll choose images which belong to this kind of nature, or how did it happen?
Yeah, interesting question this. Now, when I was making those photographs, I have a very vivid memory of most of the images that I have made, not just Varanasi, but I can, if you search my hard disk, old hard disk, and ask a simple photo of a deer, probably I'll be able to tell you that this was in Kabini in 2014.
Likewise.
In the third safari and things like that.
I can understand.
So when I was making those photographs, yes, automatically there will be some photos that would be close to my heart even before the photograph was made.
Understood.
I would know it. I would instinctively know it.
Right.
That this is something which falls into my idea of image making of that place. Now, frankly speaking, I don't want to portray Varanasi the way it is portrayed today, in terms of those very loud events, very social media engineered events that happen today.
The firecrackers.
A lot of laser lights and firecrackers and sounds, and events like Masan Holi, for example. There are 500 photographers who are shooting at 3 people. With makeup. Now they are artists. None of them are Aghori sadhus.
I see.
They are dressed up like
it's orchestrated.
Orchestrated, and it's like a street carnival. Now they are posing, and there are 500 photographers aiming. I have no problems with that, but I don't like to portray the city in that way. It's more of a make-believe imagery.
For all you know, they may not even be a part of the city. They may have just come in to perform and get out.
Absolutely, but Masan Holi as traditional event is much deeper than the photographs that we see. It's a form of a Holi which happens where Aghoris. Now, Aghor is a form of Shiva.
Right.
And Aghoris, their whole philosophy comes very similar to Tantrics, which we had in terms of philosophy, but they are marginalized. They are somewhat socially tabooed for their spiritual practices.
Understood.
In terms of philosophy, it's a completely different thing. So this Masan Holi is playing Holi with the ashes at the Manikarnika Ghat, where bodies are burned. It's a cremation ground. So with those ashes, you smear your body and play Holi. The philosophy of that is very different. I have seen Masan Holi when I was a kid.
I see.
I have seen with no, koi bhi bhir nahi, kuch nahi. There's no people on the ghats, nothing. But I've seen Aghori sadhus.
What's Masan? In Kannada,
Masan means Shamshan.
In Kannada, Masana means Smashan.
Yeah.
Okay,
correct.
it's the same word.
Same word. So I have seen Aghori sadhus in Harishchandra Ghat and Manikarnika Ghat when I was, say, 14, 15 years old. And I've seen that Holi being played.
Right.
Now, I did not know it, that it was called as Masan Holi. knew it much later. But
Right.
today, what is portrayed in social media is very different. So
Of
that's a
course.
make-believe world which I
Sure.
do not want to portray.
Absolutely.
That everybody else does.
Sure.
Number one. Number two, so therefore, at the time of selecting images for the book, I was very clear what is my Varanasi, because it is my book.
Of course.
So what is my Kashi? Yes, it has a lot of influence from Satyajit Ray's works. It has a lot of influence from many stories that I have read, and therefore it has definitely, knowingly or unknowingly, influenced my body of work as well.
Makes sense.
But definitely, those images at the time of making, I would select. Now, once I have 20,000 images, I would always be able to prune it down to say about 700, 800 images. The more difficult part is to bring it to less than 200
Of
from
course.
that 700.
Yeah.
So, yes, I did spend a lot of time. I'd spend about 6 months of just writing for the book, thinking about it, what should go in, what should be the segments into which I divide the book.
True.
So I eventually ended up, putting the book into 5 segments.
I see.
And the first segment is the closest to my heart, which I've named as Shunya, in
Shunya.
search of silence.
I see.
So the very concept that we have been discussing in this podcast today is my first chapter in this book, which
Makes
is
sense.
Shunya, in search of silence, where I have tried to portray, not capture, but portray this silence and elicit some kind of an emotion into my viewers.
Makes sense.
Interestingly, the feedback that I received for this book is mostly on this chapter. You have also written the same thing in
Absolutely.
the foreword,
Absolutely.
and many people have told me that this is something which has, which lingers after the last pages of the book
True.
has been.
You go back to the first few, visuals and the first chapter in general.
Absolutely, and that's what the general feedback that I have received, and I am very grateful.
Awesome.
For that. But that has been my thought process right from
Wonderful.
the beginning.
Wonderful.
That I would elicit response and not tell a fantastic or an elaborate story.
Great.
But just put the city as I saw it.
Wonderful.
And leave the rest. To
I
my
would
viewers.
put a link to. Is it on Amazon?
It's on Amazon.
I'll
It's
put
on
a
the
link.
publisher's website directly.
Great,
It's on
great.
Kindle. It's on Goodreads everywhere.
I'll definitely share it in the description. So I have a question for some of my community members who may be intrigued to pick up this genre of photography, or maybe start taking pictures of people, candid photography to be, vague. I have a few questions about, the inhibitions of people that, you walk up to a sadhu sitting on the, let's say, the ghat. How do you approach someone who is not a tiger or a leopard, but a human being who has, their own mind, their own lives, their own struggles, their own whatever? How do you approach somebody like that?
Idiosyncrasies, yes.
And how easy is it for somebody to? Because a lot of people ask me that, do I need to go and take permission? Do I need to do this? How do you suggest a beginner to get into this genre of photography?
Okay.
How does he approach talking and taking pictures to strangers?
Okay, I'll answer this. I think permission is a bit overrated today in the genre of people photography.
Today, parents take permission of kids to post, it seems.
To post. Yes, I know that. Yeah. So permission is a bit overrated
Right.
according to me. I have followed Raghu Rai's work, for example.
True.
Right from growing up. Is naturally
True.
you follow his works in this space in India.
Right.
Now, it all depends on how deeply you want to make that photograph of that place, and it shows in your body language.
Right.
Now, if you're approaching a sadhu, now, for example, a sadhu is sitting all by himself on the ghats of Varanasi. Now, you are surreptitiously approaching him with your camera and zooming it. Your objective is to make a nice portrait and immediately post it in the social media.
True.
With a very
Hashtag.
elaborative caption and hashtag to get 500 likes.
Right.
He will see through it.
Okay.
He'll see through it.
Okay.
Today, it has come to that extent that people ask for money to pose in Varanasi, left, right, and center. Okay, they know that this is a business opportunity. Now there are thousands of people who would like to make photographs, and therefore, पहले 500 रुपए इधर रखो, उसके बाद you come near me. Even they are genuine sadhus.
Understood.
Okay. Now, It all depends. I have absolutely no problems in paying 500 rupees. But what I'm trying to make, what I'm trying to say here is that when you go honestly, when you approach somebody and first make that connect,
True.
first talk to him. There's no hurry.
Right.
That in the first 10 seconds you have to
When you poke
click.
the camera to the face
Yeah. And today, you know, even with the 70-200 lens, or sometimes with a, even a longer lenses today, and with if it zooms in, that itself is intrusive.
True.
Somebody,
True.
and he will immediately get into a shell, probably not look at you. It will be fake.
True.
It will not be that emotion that you
True.
first saw
Right.
and went in
Right.
to photograph him.
Sure.
Now he will know. There's absolutely no need to do that. You go there, talk to him, be very honest, and tell him. I spend hours talking. I'll talk about my own experiences. Incidentally, my maternal grandmother, she hails from Varanasi. Although she got married when she was, I think, 19 or 20 years, but my grandfather, my mother's father, came to see her
Right.
in a house in Varanasi overlooking the Ahalbai Ghat.
I see.
And that I've seen that room. It's a fairy tale of a room.
I see.
Jant, it overlooks the entire
The river.
landscape of Varanasi from that vantage point. And you have the Shashwamedh Ghat on the right. You
Right.
have Darbhanga Ghat on the right. I mean Darbhanga on the right and the Shashwamedh to the left.
Right.
And you can see all of that. And I would tell these stories.
Right.
Now I have also heard these stories from my grandmother and
Sure.
my relatives.
Sure.
And I would start talking about these stories with strangers
Right.
in Varanasi.
Right.
It brings me back to the same point that photography is a medium of expression for me.
Right.
My main passion is to travel, is to explore, is to meet people
Right.
and know the unknown. So that always remains.
Of course.
Now, for today's young kids, what I would like to tell is, if you go solely with the intention of making a photograph alone, that photograph will never speak. You may get 500 likes,
Right. Right.
but it will never stay with your viewer. It cannot happen. These two
Absolutely.
things cannot happen simultaneously.
Interesting.
Once you connect with the place, with the people, the person connects with you, then you start making photographs.
True.
Maybe sometimes you take a permission also, but that permission is very different from
going in and saying, "Can I take a photo of
Can
you?"
I take a photo?
I understand.
So it's very different. I'll tell you an example. One of the photographs that is there in this book, which is 2 pages, is of a sadhu whom I met at around, I think, 4:35 a.m. at the Shashwamedh Ghat. He was sitting all by himself and starting to put chandan on his face. Now, I don't know what happened. I stopped. Nobody was talking to him. So I went and asked him that, Maharaj, can I sit beside you? Now my camera is closed. Yes, absolutely. It is hanging on the sling, but it's definitely closed. I'm not even taking it. So he looked at me and he said, "Theek hai, baitho." And I started talking to him. Then I came to know that he is basically from, he has an ashram in Prayagraj,
I see.
very near to Prayagraj. And he has, in his ashram, there are about 30-40 other sannyasis, and
I
he has
see.
a Gaushala and all that. And he travels to all parts of India. He's
Right.
basically from the Adi Shankaracharya sect.
I see.
From the east.
I see.
Now, as I started talking to him, he started telling me his stories about his growing up days. And, बेटा मेरा पढ़ाई यहाँ पे हुआ था, मैंने उस टाइम में तुमने क्या इलाहाबाद देखा है, इलाहाबाद तो हम लोगों ने, कुंभ मेला उस टाइम में, ये सब टीवी में नहीं आता था बेटा, इतना पॉलिटिकल बैनर्स नहीं होता था, कुंभ मेला होता था, and all that stories. So then I asked him, कि Maharaj, if you don't mind, after you are done, will you come with me in a boat? And I don't know what happened. He looked at me and he said, ठीक है, मैं किसी के साथ जाता नहीं हूँ, मैं तो अभी मंदिर जा रहा हूँ, लेकिन आपसे बात करके मुझे अच्छा लगा, I'll come with you. And I paid, the boatman sensed an opportunity. So he charged me $4,000. Okay, but I still paid that money. And I took him to the boat, still early hours, 4:35 in the morning.
Right.
And then we had a lot of conversations.
Sure.
Now those conversations are not for public consumption. That's very private. But I had a lot of conversations. In between conversations,
You pulled out the camera.
I had certain images in mind.
Mm-hmm.
In Darbhanga Ghat in Varanasi, there's this hotel today which is called as Brij Rama Palace.
Right.
Brij Rama Palace is a heritage hotel. Earlier, it used to be a king's.
I'm still waiting to go there in that balcony room.
Absolutely. I told you about the balcony room,
Sure.
which is round shape. So I always had an image in my mind. A sadhu on the boat with the Brij Rama Palace in the background. And as I was talking, when we were going towards Assi Ghat from the Shashwat Ghat, I could see Brij Rama Palace, and I told him that, can you, invoke something, or whatever you want to do. Maharaj. He said that fine, I'll do this for you. And he did it for maybe, less than a second. I have one of the most memorable images of my life, which probably I would have, showcased it in more than 7-8 exhibitions across India.
Interesting.
Now, why I'm telling you all this story is, my intention was never to make an image of him so that I will get validated in the social media and I'll get 5,000 likes, which I might eventually get. But my objective was to know him, was to talk to him. In the process of that exploration, as a medium of what I am seeing, I took a photograph, and therefore I say that photography is a medium of expression.
Absolutely.
That image is an expression of the experience that I had.
Right.
So coming back to answer your question, I would always say that go with the intention. You cannot fake it. If you fake that intention,
They'll see through it.
you'll see through it. And you cannot make images. Same with the series of Kushti in my book, the segment on Akras, is I would have gone there 5 days, but I would have shot for only 1 day.
Okay.
The remaining 3 days is getting to know not just the wrestlers, the Pahalwans, they say the Guruji, who is 74 or 75-year-old, who could stretch both his legs this way even at this time. And he was telling me that in last 55 years, he has not missed practicing or coming to the Akra for even a single day. 55 years.
Wow.
So I'm very intrigued about the philosophy behind these Akras, these Pahalwans. What is their what is their life? What is the thought process? What is their life ideologies like? And this Akra is just behind Tulsi Ghat, where the Ramayana was written by Tulsi Das ji. The same Ghat, just behind that Ghat is this Akra called Swaminath Akra. So I spent first 3 days or 4 days just interacting with them and talking to all of them, including Mukesh, who is a very renowned Pahalwan. He is UP's #1.
Right.
There. So the main thing is to getting to know them, and then comes photograph.
Right.
And I have seen many times, you will not believe, in Varanasi, in Harishchandra Ghat, there's a ghori which sits, and in these ghats, you have the domes, the dome Maharaj, right? The domes are the ones who are traditionally the families which are who take care of these cremation grounds.
Awesome.
Now there will be a group of 8-10 photographers, trying to sneak peek and trying to get a shot of an aghori, do some tantric ritual with the, say a skull of a dead body.
Right.
As they would sneak in, few of these domes would pick up woods and chase them away. So it has become a cat and mouse game.
I see.
That in that sneak peek, I will try to sneak in a photograph which I will use.
I see.
That never works.
Makes sense.
That never works. So even in wildlife, for example,
the same.
Unless we are a naturalist first and we understand the animal behavior to a great extent, and we spend time, we don't get.
We're a part of the place, and we don't influence the animal, and we are standing far and observing and grabbing our moments. I think it's very similar in every genre of photography.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
So you cannot fake it. You have to be involved in the process. You have to be immersive. And the why you took up camera in the first place should never be forgotten.
Wow, interesting.
Should never be forgotten.
Interesting.
Once that purpose, be friends, you are that purpose goes away from you, and you're trying to do a lot of shortcuts. That's the end of photography.
That's a very powerful thought. In fact, you're saying, if you don't befriend the person, you don't understand what they are feeling, what they are going through, what they are expressing themselves, even by not talking, and you're only interested in aesthetics of making an image, it makes no sense. So striking conversations is a very integral part of photographing people who are strangers or people who are not known to you. That's an amazing insight.
Absolutely. You cannot have a timeline of, say, I have half a day in Varanasi, so let me do some people photography. Let me do some, make some photographs in the ghats.
Right.
I have just, 3 hours with me.
Sure.
It will never work.
Makes
Unless you invest the time, not just Varanasi alone, but for any people photography in that matter, as to answer your question.
Right.
Even in Kumbh Mela, even in these places where, even in Theyyam, for example,
Right.
Unless you're invested into the ritual, the reason why Theyyam happens, and the life, the thought process of the people in that area, that part of Kerala, and the spiritual reasons behind that, unless you know that, unless you are invested into it, you cannot make a good image
True.
of Theyyam without knowing anything.
Absolutely.
Similarly, now Anjanda, who has also written a part of the foreword for my book, recently he went to a place called as Dinajpur in Bengal, where there's a very long tradition called as Gomira dance, and he has photographed a lot of that. He has been awarded by the Prime Minister of a country, Mr. Narendra Modi, and things like that. So I share a lot of these, discussions with Anjanda as well. And when I see his photographs of these, so-called those hidden traditions and people of the rural background, the same applies there. That unless you are part of them, you cannot make an image from outside the system,
Of course.
and telling that you are telling a story about that
them.
environment. Unless you're part of that environment,
Sure.
you can never tell a story
True.
or even never elicit any emotion from
Absolutely.
the viewer.
Fantastic. So let me take you to some aspects of our last section of this podcast. Basically, talking about photography, we also need to give some insights on cameras, lenses, and all of that. So my next question is something related to the world of tech, gear, and all of that. So Dipanjan, I want to ask you a question about your camera equipment. I know that you were initially using Nikon, and now that you are also using Sony. Take us through some of your considerations of camera gear. What did you use? What are you using? What do you hope to use? What lenses? What kind of focal lens are your frequently used lenses? Give us an insight on your kit.
Okay, so currently I'm using the Sony A7 IV.
Right.
Fantastic camera. So this was a natural progression from DSLRs to mirrorless.
True.
Particularly the kind of photography that I do more often. It helps to have mirrorless cameras which are slightly bit more compact. Although I like slightly bigger cameras in hand because
For the grip.
Because I have been a Nikon D850 user for quite some time.
Right.
So the body is Sony. In terms of travel photography and Varanasi and these places, a must have lens is the wide lens that I have, which is 16 mm. I have a Tokina 16-29.
I see.
That wide.
I see.
Definitely a 35 mm prime.
I see.
That helps in multiple situations, and I
Sure.
have taken a lot of.
The 35 is a 1.4?
1.4, 35 1.4. And then 24-70 2.8 I have used extensively.
Right.
And 70-200 I have used extensively from Toehold for last 15 years. So 16 mm, 35 mm prime, 24-70 and 70-200.
Sure.
These are the lenses that I've used more.
Right.
I have used 85 mm 1.2 for portraits
1.2,
and things
I
like
see.
that. Many of the photographs in this book are actually
really?
from 85 mm.
For portrait, it's an amazing
Yes, 85 mm. I've used a lot. So that's for this kind of for wildlife. I always aankh band karke aapka
300,
whether it's 300 2.8 sometimes with a TC or 400 2.8 I have used extensively from Toehold.
Sure.
I went to Ganesh Gudi
Recently.
recently, so I took the 600 f4.
Oh, wow.
And the A7 V.
Wonderful.
Phenomenal combination.
I saw that your DP has the 300 2.8 lens.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
I hope you liked it. It's one of my favorite lenses.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. The 300 2.8 is a magical lens.
One question I have is when you take pictures of people in, let's say, backlight or low light, do you also use external sources of light? Do you use flash guns, or are you mostly a natural light photographer?
absolutely natural
Okay.
light photography. I don't use flashlights or flash guns
I
at
see.
all. Mostly natural light. But today, with the post-processing technology also evolving at a quite rapid pace.
Improve the shadows and all of that.
Yeah, we can improve the shadows. We can selectively improve shadows and things like that.
Sure.
So therefore, I don't see it as a constraint. I do not do stage photography at all in a studio setting. So therefore, natural light works perfectly fine for me.
Fantastic.
And particularly these backlight images and rim lighting
Right.
and all that.
Sure.
I'm very fond of.
Wonderful.
So yeah, I don't use
Any
flashlights.
wildlife destination on your wish list?
Bhadra.
Bhadra.
Actually, not because of the Black Panther actually,
Okay.
but because we have been planning. So we have been in our group of friends, as I was telling, me, Riju, Ronojoy, Abhishek,
Right.
you know all of them. So
Right.
we go every year at least once, twice, sometimes 3 times. So this year we are planning
Okay.
because of certain
Maybe
health
go far.
issues.
Go soon. Maybe you can
Soon,
see the
yeah.
Blackie as well.
Yeah. That's on the wish list.
Sure.
That's we are going definitely in this summer.
Right.
But apart from this, yes, other places for traveling. Definitely, definitely my wish list is Svalbard with you.
Wow.
That is definitely on my wish list. Definitely.
Lovely.
But Svalbard definitely on my wish list with you.
Wonderful.
In particular.
Any
but we'll be
place-
traveling to
Right.
lot
Any
of places.
any place in India where you would like to focus like you did on Kashi? Is there any other place which can ignite the same amount of depth of storytelling that you would like to focus on?
Jaisalmer.
Jaisalmer.
I think Jaisalmer.
Interesting.
The reason is, see, the Jaisalmer fort is built of yellow sandstone.
Okay.
And there's a film called Sonar Killa again by Satyajit Ray, which we have grown up with. Not just seeing the film, maybe I would have seen 50, 60 times, but I read the book more than 100 times. The novel of Satyajit Ray based on which the film was made.
I see.
And I was always intrigued.
Right.
I've been to Jaisalmer 2-3 times.
I see.
The life is very different from rest of Rajasthan.
I see.
Rajasthan by itself is very, it's a paradise for photographers. But Jaisalmer in particular, when you see, and that's the only living fort in India, in the sense that inside the fort people live. It's not just a tourist place.
Okay.
And probably the fort will not last too long either. There's a lot of activities going on to support its structure, its sinking,
Brittle.
and all of that. It's brittle. It was built by Bhati Rajputs many centuries back. But the life inside a fort, apart from the regular tourist places where everybody takes a photograph, is very intriguing. You have
would
people.
love to go
So
there.
you have a desert landscape, you have a fort, and inside the fort, people living probably with the same lifestyle that Bhati Rajputs have lived 1,000 years back. There's
I
not
see.
much change that has happened.
Interesting.
So it intrigues me. So there's a blend of culture, there's a blend of history, there's a blend of heritage, of course, tourism.
Absolutely.
A lot of things come together.
I would love to go there.
And
Especially the
come together.
sunset shots on the sand dunes and all of that.
Yeah,
as
so
well.
those sand dunes are actually 50 kilometers from this fort.
Oh, is it?
So you
Okay.
go to a place called Sam Sand Dunes and all these
I have not
places,
been
which
there.
is about 50 kilometers from the Jaisalmer town. So Jaisalmer town is just outside those sand dunes, but still very much inside a desert
Wonderful.
area. So culturally, definitely that's one place. I would also want to visit these lesser known events like Kulasai Dashera, as I was telling you.
Okay.
Which happens in only a small pocket in Tamil Nadu.
I see.
Similarly, a few areas in Kerala, a few
I see.
areas in Bengal, which
Also
are there
something
in
like
my-
the Sonpur Mela. Have
Yes,
you?
yes, absolutely. So today, thanks to Instagram and all
Right.
that, all these things are
Wonderful.
coming into the forefront. But definitely, those are on my
Wonderful.
list.
My last question to you is, as a company which caters to the needs of photo enthusiasts, travelers, and now that we are starting to cater to a lot more than just photographers, cultural heritage seekers, wildlife enthusiasts, and all of that. Do you have any recommendations for a small organization like us? What should we be looking into the next 5-10 years? Do you have some advice for us?
Yes. Now, photography obviously has to be in the core.
Right.
Around photography, maybe there's cultural tours, but not during the cultural events per se.
Not
When
the
I say
cliched.
cultural, not the cliched cultural tours around the cultural event. I'm not talking about a holy photography in Vrindavan or Masan
Pushkar
Holi
Mela on the
or a
Pushkar
Pushkar
Fair.
Mela. Not during that, but maybe the same places, not during those events.
Right. To see the real authentic
to
place.
see the real authentic culture, and many times today in the world of jingoism today and we are losing the finer subtle points of seeing
Right.
what India is all about. And these areas, these kind of photo tours is something that I would personally be very interested
I see.
very interested to go.
Sure.
Definitely. Not jostling for space with 5,000 other
Makes sense.
photographers for some kind of a
Makes sense.
shot, but
And also an
life-
orchestrated shot. It's not even a candid thing.
Exactly. So life around these places as life is in those areas. So many places, and villages in the Himalayas. Now I have traveled that part a bit,
Okay.
and I know not many people go there.
Right.
In these kind of photo tours. For example, I'm not talking about a Hemis festival in Ladakh. Everybody goes there.
True.
But there are many villages in, say, Uttarakhand or in Himachal.
Right.
When you cross Kaza, Tabo, and all those places there, or interiors of Ladakh for that matter, northeast. A lot of these tribal communities
True.
which live, they have a way of life, they have
True.
a way of thinking, sometimes much more ahead than what we think culture or civilization is
Makes sense.
in our minds. So those places, not during those events or not during those festivals, but during other times, just to mingle with this part of the world, mingle with those people, and get to know and bring out their story.
Sure.
Again, never it's my story that I
True.
want everybody to
True.
listen to.
Interesting.
Bring out their stories. So these are the places, these rural areas, villages in the hills, particularly in deserts, where Toehold as a company,
Absolutely.
we can look at it as a
Absolutely.
as the next destination. But not many players. In fact, there are not any players for that matter who does these.
Thank you. That's a Pandora's box that has opened, and I'll definitely ponder over it. Thank you so much for that advice. And I think it's been a wonderful conversation. I have so many things to take away from this conversation. I have a lot of thoughts igniting. I should probably go. I've been telling you that I want to go to Kashi. I want to spend some time. I tried
We'll
my
go
best
together.
whenever
Definitely.
possible.
Yeah,
Even
absolutely.
Jaisalmer, for that matter, I
Yeah.
would love to. Because
explore
it's not going to be work. It's going to be fun for me, and I would love to go there.
Yes,
and
yes, absolutely.
I went to Pushkar in 2009. I of course I also saw the touristy part of it back then itself. I saw the tourism board coming and playing and doing all these events and
Yes,
sorts
yes.
of stuff. But I like the authentic, raw,
Yeah,
candid,
absolutely.
desi touch to it that I missed during those peak days. But I would love to go back there again. So Dipanjan, it's been a fabulous conversation. I hope you enjoyed expressing yourself.
Absolutely. Same
And,
here. It's always a pleasure
I would-
chatting with you.
I would love to grab some of these photos in this wonderful book to show it to people on this podcast as we speak about all these interesting anecdotes that we got from you about all this. I think what would have happened through the conversation is it would have inspired people who are interested in storytelling, especially of the human emotion, to think about this from a different lens. And that's what I think, that's why this cohort of podcasts that I call the ExplorerChat, it not only is about exploring different places, but it's also about exploring our own mind.
Absolutely. I
And-
mean, it's an inner world. It's an exploration into ourselves.
Absolutely. I am grateful for your time, and I did enjoy listening to you talk, and I'm glad that you speak so much, because we need to find words to express our thoughts, because our human mind is so complex, and you've done a fairly good job. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being a part of this.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Photographing wildlife requires patience. Photographing landscapes requires vision. But photographing people requires courage, and also one has to have the empathy, as we learned. And I think today's conversation reminded me of that. Dipanjan, thank you for sharing your journey and your honesty and your perspectives. And to everyone listening, maybe the next photograph you take isn't of a place or an animal, but of a person who has a story to tell. And maybe that's where the real story begins.